And again, you mentioned Gulab and the gang of boys, and there are one thing which really struck with me was that the story is about four women, but every character in the film is has the same amount of importance, same amount of depth, same amount of backstory, and the perform. You can see that in the performances and the way they are treated as characters. Like, it's just about the characters. What was your process in creating the entire world around these four women as well? Because again, the realism of the film,
Yeah.
it's something that
So my
hmm,
my see, this didn't. I don't think men are, uh, the villains. I don't. I genuinely don't. In
okay.
fact, I have a lot of empathy for them because I feel there's so much focus on healing women that there is no focus on healing men, and I think they need
Hmm.
a lot of healing too.
Okay, yeah.
So Gulab and Manoj's character,
Hmm.
Lajo's husband,
Hmm.
for me was my heart goes out to them. I mean, I think they're victims. Then I didn't see them as villains,
Okay. Hmm.
And if you see, I know the negative aspect stood out so much that you will forget it, but Manoj is shown as this guy who's carrying Amma into the wedding, who
Hmm.
says, Amma, marry me. He has that softer side. He's a funny guy.
Hmm.
He has other aspects about him, but that guy, why did he become this guy?
Hmm.
Because of the pressure. I mean, if what we are displaying in the film, that Lajjo lived with the fact that she didn't have a child, which was, tossed around at her all the time. Here's a guy living with the knowledge that he's unable to have a child. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, but he's still supposed to be the man.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
So he's as much the victim.
Hmm. Okay. And about the realism, what was your process in, like, it's very true to what it is, and capturing that into the frames. What was your process for doing that?
Actually, in past we had lots of workshops with the actors, with
Uh-huh.
technicians. We It was a genuine collaboration
Hmm.
with everybody on set,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I think that shows, like,
Hmm.
that like everybody was making that film the
Hmm.
best of itself.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
everybody,
Hmm.
costume, makeup, and I think everybody and everything contributed. And I think while we were while we were shooting the film, we were living the film in a weird kind of
Hmm.
sense, because a lot of people had their own catharsis, because
Hmm.
this is conditioning that we're talking about, right,
Yeah.
in past.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I remember after I shot that scene with Shayoni where she's being dragged out of the village,
Okay. Huh.
uh,
Hmm.
one of the spot boys, he broke down and he
Hmm.
started crying, and he told me, I have seen this in my life. I said, how? He said, my sister was, and now I'm feeling so guilty, So, or, these three amazing actresses,
Hmm.
Tanishta, Radhika, and Surveen,
Hmm.
doing a nude run in the film. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's liberating, and
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
it's it's scary. It's
Hmm.
scary, liberating, but I think it did something to them.
Yeah.
It was a moment. I mean,
Hmm.
like,
Okay.
so I think it was not just a film. It was a part of our lives in a
Hmm.
lot
Hmm.
of ways.
Hmm. 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 Okay. You mentioned earlier how sex is portrayed in films, and like there was some kind of controversy around the mystic lover scene, which you also call martini shot of the film. Now, the symbolism in that shot, like the whole scene, is something which takes the nudity out of the picture, for me at least, or for the people I was watching the film with. But that intent was that the symbolism and the portrayal of how beautiful it is. It's about love and everything, and but it's taken at in a very different way. So intent of the creator, of you, and how it's perceived from the audience, in India at least, was something really different. So how do you deal with that? Like, first of all, what was the decision behind?
I have a long story to tell you about this.
Hmm.
How I got Adil to do that role,
Haha.
because I went and gave Adil a full narration of my script,
Okay.
and he's wondering why I'm telling him. No, no, I was giving it in great detail and thinking, I hope he doesn't think I'm asking him to play any of these other roles, you
Okay.
know. And at
Haha.
the end, he said, "Okay, I love it. I love the script, but what do you want me to do?"
Huh.
I said, "I want you to play the lover in the cave, because
Hmm.
that's what the character's name was on script.
Hmm.
So he said, "What?" He was so shocked with it. But then uh, Adil is Adil, and he's a league apart.
Uh-huh.
So he's like, when you offered that, it suddenly gave me fear and said, "Can I do this?
Hmm.
Like nudity and stuff?"
Hmm.
And he said, and that's fear was something I said, how can I have that as an actor?
Hmm.
So just for that reason, to challenge myself, yes, I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
So that's how it happened. And then when a contract went to him and it said Lover in the Cave, he's like, my character doesn't even have a name. So then we named him Mystic Lover, which that
Okay.
thing became like a term then, Mystic Lover. Okay, then, so when I wrote the scene, I thought of this. I said it can just be a body, like it
Hmm.
doesn't need to be actor, but a body, like but when just before I started shooting, I was like, oh my God, the scene, it's a scene. It's not
Yeah.
it's a scene. It needs a performance. It needs a performance. And that's how I had the guts to go to Adil.
Hmm.
And what he took it to another level. But and then I worked with Ashley Lobo,
Hmm.
who's my favoriteest choreographer of all times. And I said that let's choreograph this.
Okay. Oh, nice.
So before that we had workshops with Radhika and Adil, where Ashley does this amazing workshop with actors, where you work on whole body and stuff. So we did these workshops. First got them completely comfortable with themselves, their bodies, and with the other's body. So that was out of the way. That's out of the way now. Now let's talk. I mean, and that's where we shot. That's how we shot the sex scene. It was like once we lose consciousness of body and your body versus my body, now we're talking.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where the scene was in terms of, and it evolved in the workshops. Exactly his entry, how he comes and touches her feet,
Yeah.
and it's a whole story unfolding there. I mean, it's a whole evolution and story unfolding in that. So it was choreographed. In fact, even when I was shooting it, I had a close set, and people saw Ashley come, the master G. So they thought, "Pata nahi close set mein kuch dance shoot ho raha hai niche." We were shooting in the caves. That's why I'm saying niche.
Okay.
And, yeah. So starting from there, then this scene being the most talked about scene across at least 20-30 festivals that I attended across the world. And oh my God, the things and descriptions I've heard, like at least 2 or 3 people told me it's a scene from the Bible and it's about Jesus and, it's about honoring women. And somebody, interpreted him pulling the dupatta down as an act of marriage. And so the way it got interpreted, like it was so amazing. I used to call Adil almost from every country, and I said, "There's a hunt down for you. Everybody wants the Mystic." So from there to then, finally we are releasing in India, and sex scene gets revealed is the first headline, and then getting to know that past is being sold as porn in Calcutta.
Oh shit.
It was just like, and that's exactly why I did what I did. So, and that's why when I was asked and they tried to make a whole controversy about the sex scene being revealed, I was like, yeah, it's part of the film. It's out there. I'm sorry, it's out there out of context. But, and then a whole conversation with the, what do you say, censor board. Where the committee told me, "Aapko wo nikalna padega." So I said, "Wo kya ho?" I said, "The breast." The shot of the breast. I said breast, and they all jumped back. Like, oh my God, what is this word? We don't talk about these things.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
We don't talk about these things. It's time we did.
Okay.
Yeah. So that scene is like, so intent, for me, that scene it's a whole conversation about what sex is and means and can be, and it's about respect and honor and
Yeah.
it's anything but about sex,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, yeah. Exactly,
You know,
exactly. Uh-huh.
for me, it's a very spiritual scene.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, the reactions that I've got have been so varied. I mean,
Mhm.
mostly good, actually, mostly
Mhm.
amazingly good, and to
Uh-huh.
another level. That scene has made so many people howl and cry. I can't tell you. So
It actually,
so
yeah. So the
so I think that talks about your
Mhm.
relationship with sex, the way you react to that scene.
Mhm. Mhm.
If you're uncomfortable with sex and
Mhm.
touch and
Mhm.
sensuality, then that's where your reaction comes from.
Mhm. Okay. Mhm.
Because
The
there is nothing. I mean, even if it's a statement that I have to make, that there cannot be anything offensive in that scene. There is
Mhm.
not anything
Yeah, yeah,
offensive. There
yeah.
is no reason for anyone to dislike it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So if they do, then talks about their discomfort with a
Mhm.
conversation
Mhm.
or depiction of sex.
Mhm. Actually, the what you said, that the film, that particular scene is about everything else except sex, because I remember that watching that scene, and when Adil sir's character touches her feet and she gets scared, and I was like, okay, like this is what it's about. Like they are not being respected. There are like that particular shot just moved me. Moving on to a lighter note, while making the film, it's not necessary that the atmosphere is always intense. So can you share some stories, like collaborating with different actors, collaborating with Russell sir, like just to get on a lighter note, anything you want to share from sets?
Oh my God, every day is a story. I'm not joking with that. Okay, let me talk about Bijli.
Huh.
So Bijli, the whole thing, whatever, that traveling gypsy
Mhm.
group was set up. That whole thing was a set which we
Okay.
constructed outside
Huh, huh, huh.
from a living quarter, the tent, and then
Huh,
the
huh.
performance area.
Yes.
So yeah, we were in the middle of nowhere.
Hmm.
So we actually got men from Aju Baju ka villages
Huh,
as the
huh.
audience,
Mhm.
and it went crazy. It went crazy, crazy, crazy.
Okay.
Like, oh my God, these guys got almost violent. They were grabbing onto the girls. I mean, for them, it was real for them.
Huh, huh. Okay.
They thought that they've come for this performance.
Huh, huh, huh.
So I remember by the end, we had all the ADs were lining the stage
Mhm.
because they were just going there and grabbing. And yeah, and the repression I saw over there for real was so crazy.
Mhm.
And then we finished our songs in about 4 days.
Okay.
And after that, we were shooting behind in the tent and
Huh, huh.
stuff. After that, every day men would land up in jeeps and all that and start banging the ticket window. कि हम
Oh.
बिजली को देखने आए हैं मतलब the news had spread.
Okay. Okay, that's quite a
And
story.
people
Huh.
were like, "No, stop banging that, it's going to fall." It's a bloody set. It's not even real.
Okay. how do you
So
how do you deal with actors that, like, if things like these happen? Because in past, not just this, there were a lot of very difficult scenes. Speaking of, like, I guess Leher was 14 years old when she did that, and there were some scenes which were very difficult. So how do you manage to you know communicate to, like, smaller actors, or just in case any actor, but the scenes were very
so
difficult? Huh.
yeah, Leher's character was my most biggest worry
Mm-hmm.
because what the character has to go through, I don't think a girl that age even deserves to know.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. Hmm.
So it was really complicated. My whole
Hmm.
process of even casting for that, I met a lot of girls, and a lot of them were very, very disturbingly put in in a profession which they did not have the bandwidth to handle. So always with her character, I always insisted on speaking to the parents first,
Okay.
explaining to them.
Hmm.
And then I said, I'm probably going to give her a much more simpler narrative
Mm-hmm.
than what she needs to perform, but I will figure that out on set, like how to get her there.
Okay.
But she may still not know the truth about what she's doing.
Hmm.
And sure enough, but then, and with the Riddhi, Gulab's character,
Yeah.
played by Riddhi Sen, amazing,
Hmm.
amazing actor. Riddhi is like too mature for his age. I mean, in my
Okay.
first phone call with Riddhi,
Mm-hmm.
I started trying to tell him a simpler version of Gulab, and we started talking about Freud and sexuality and
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, okay, he knows, and at least on a knowing
Hmm.
level, he knows,
Uh-huh.
and so yeah, so I sometimes use Riddhi to kind of get Leher, like the whole final scene where he beats her up.
Hmm.
Leher, we practiced it as this fun action scene
Hmm.
that I'm going to push you, I'm going to make it look like you bang, but you have to save yourself, and then you do this, and then you do
Mm-hmm.
this.
Okay.
So yeah, and now when I talk to Leher about it and how differently she understands the film now,
Mm-hmm.
I remember
Yeah.
on set only once she asked me, she says, "Why am I crying in every scene?" And I was like, "I'm so glad you don't know why you're crying in every."
Okay. What is the usual process of working with actors? Not just younger actors, just in general, your process of working with actors.
I think every actor is so different.
Huh.
So you have to customize. For me, it's about knowing them
Hmm.
and understanding their strengths and
Hmm.
then finding a way to get them where they need to be through their own process, which is different
Okay.
for every actor.
Okay. Hmm.
So yes, if I want to work with an actor really well, I
Hmm.
need to spend time with them before we get on set.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
about getting into their psyche and
Hmm.
figuring them out and
Hmm.
then bringing them to where I want them to be.
Mm-hmm.
Not just putting a demand that this is where you need to be and get there
Yeah.
however the hell you
Okay.
want.
Hmm. And as a director, it's basically your vision at the end, which all the other artists are trying to achieve. And so, how do you manage that? Like getting everyone's best, like the cinematographer, sound designer, everyone to achieve what you have seen on screen. And like we can talk about a particular scene where you approached it in a different manner, using the tools you have as a director. So, what's the process of working with other collaborators, other artists to achieve your vision?
I think firstly at a very basic level,
Mm-hmm.
I acknowledge that each one of them is an artist
Huh. Okay, nice.
and that I'm collaborating.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so where the truth that I want to get at
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
maybe a different truth for each, but we'll all get there.
Hmm.
you know, but
Okay.
the trigger points have to be different and they
Uh-huh.
are different.
Mm-hmm.
So acknowledging that, so I try and communicate with every key artist that is there in that particular scene
Hmm.
individually
Hmm.
and just taking them to the truth that I want to go in whichever way we do that.
Mm-hmm.
Once they recognize that, then I tell them, okay, you perform. It's not about me now, and it's about you.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so giving them that space.
Hmm.
So like a loose-ish example of one is it's very important for me that the actor owns the space they're in.
Hmm.
Like so many times you see a film and you feel like that guy doesn't fit into the space he is in,
Huh. Huh.
and it's supposed to be his house.
Hmm.
He's sitting in his own sofa, like he's a guest in the
Huh. Huh.
house.
Huh. Okay. Huh.
So for me, I expect the actors to build a relationship even with the space that they are in
Hmm. Okay.
and personalize it to what they
Mm-hmm.
are.
Hmm.
And then if I'm shooting a scene, telling the actors, okay, they are already in character. We've already been through that,
Hmm.
talking about the psyche,
Hmm.
creating memories for
Hmm.
characters. I mean, that's one of the big processes I try
Yeah.
and do.
Yeah.
Creating memories for them,
Hmm.
even if they're not used in the film.
Mm-hmm.
So then letting the actors perform. I don't put the camera before that.
Hmm. Okay.
So letting the actors own that space and perform, not telling them you walk from here to there and you
Huh.
do
Huh. Huh.
this and get
Mm-hmm.
up. Unless there is something specific to script which needs to be done. But
Okay. Hmm.
letting them own the space, then watching them perform with the cinematographer,
Hmm.
then the cinematographer, I tell him, okay, what do you feel?
Hmm.
Like, how would you, because that you're the master of that, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So then again, collaborating on that in case it's not getting to the essence of where I need to go, then bringing them to
Yeah.
that space
Huh. Huh.
just naturally through themselves, not
Hmm.
as a order.
Hmm.
letting them get there.
Hmm.
So basically letting everybody perform.
Okay, nice. And what do you think is your voice as a filmmaker at the end? Like, because if bunch of artists are collaborating and you have that environment on set, what do you think is your personal voice as a filmmaker in the films you make?
But they are all still telling the story, and they all firstly signed into the story that I wanted to tell.
Haha.
And that's such an honor for me
Hmm. Hmm.
that I get such amazing artists to tell my story.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's where is my
Huh.
voice.
Okay.
That,
Okay. Haha.
like it is a painting that I've already made in my head, and now I'm telling all these people to recreate that what is in my head.
Hmm.
Firstly, it's such a privilege that you get to do that
Haha.
people sign into that
Hmm. Hmm.
to play out your vision,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
and
Hmm.
secondly that they actually perform it and sometimes take it beyond your vision.
Hmm. Okay.
So
I.
I
Uh-huh.
surrender to that. I mean, for me that is the most beautiful thing.
Hmm. That you get to do that, like create that whole orchestration. Okay.
Yeah.
And one thing you mentioned in the earlier part of the conversation, that when you started, people were tagging you, and like they usually do, women filmmaker, female filmmaker, and that journey, and again having a strong voice, and that too in the industry where it's like a female filmmaker is having a strong voice. How difficult is it to finally tell the story you want to tell? Because at the end, all you want to do is tell a story. It can be about anyone, it can be about a male character, it can be about, it's basically about characters. So how difficult it is to just tell the stories without all these tags, and like bypassing through the sexism in the society in general.
I actually stopped paying attention to it
Mm-hmm.
quite some time back. So
Okay.
even if that there is a bias against me being a woman, I move out of that space. Like, and I'm fortunate enough that I can, and I
Mm-hmm.
still have.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, see, stories, male or female, have to make economic sense also. That is something I truly acknowledge, even as a creator.
Okay.
It's not like I want to make the film I want to, and I don't care who's the audience,
Mm-hmm.
because somebody out there is spending money on it. So that responsibility I do. But
Okay.
yes, my stories are not like the most accessible necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what past again taught me, that
Mm-hmm.
you'll find an audience if you do it with the truth that
Mm-hmm.
needs to be done. You'll find that audience, and past made me realize, so it liberated me from catering to anything.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
realized that I am conscious of it.
Mm-hmm.
Fine, leave it at that. I am conscious of the fact that economics have to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Once you are conscious of that, after that, yeah, just trust it will. Past play. I mean, it is the
A lot
longest
of it.
running
Yeah.
film in France.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It ran for 42 weeks. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got the most amazing letters for such a long period.
Mm-hmm.
Like some guy from a small little village in France
Mm-hmm.
saw Pash in a village in France. I was just like, wow, it released there. Like, it
Haha.
was crazy.
Haha. And speaking about like wider reach, Paj went to a lot of different big festivals, and after that, the next film, Rajma Chawal, was on Netflix again. So that gave you a huge audience. But what was like? Were you a little bit that अरे नहीं यार theater चाहिए? Yeah, you were okay with that film being on Netflix because it's just a film,
No,
like
no,
it's the
I
film you
wasn't
made.
at all.
Haha.
I wasn't at all, because I never thought of Netflix. After
Haha.
we finished the edit, I actually got approached by Netflix, and they said,
Okay.
we heard you finished your next film.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to share it with us? And that time also I'm thinking that there will be a deal ki after release they'll probably buy it if they like it.
Haha.
So I sent a link to them. This was before we had locked the edit and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, oh, we want to buy it as a Netflix original.
Okay.
So my first instinct was, no way, like
Haha.
that, like it's never going to come in theaters, and how is this going to happen, blah blah.
Haha.
And then I took a vote in my office where
Mm-hmm.
there are lots of 20-year-olds, and they all thought that this was the coolest thing that can happen. And I was like, okay,
Uh-huh.
interesting. And the team told me, yes, we I think, this is the best thing.
Mm-hmm.
As a producer, I cannot release this film in 190 countries. Forget about that. That's like really far off.
Uh-huh.
Even I don't know whether I can give you a really good theatrical, even within India. So this is the best thing that can happen. Then when it was coming on Netflix, two days before the release, I was feeling so depressed because I didn't feel like the film physically existed.
Okay.
Like, the audience, even on the day of the release, it didn't feel like, is anybody even watching and blah.
Oh, yeah.
But I have to say, within 48 hours, my friends across the world had watched the film.
Oh.
And that has never happened. And then I said, okay, there is something. Yeah.
Okay. So, final question, ma'am. Why do you make films?
Because it's the craziest profession on earth. I don't think I will meet so many crazy people in a room together that I meet in this profession. And I don't know, like now even more with I'm so glad that this is what I do, because I don't think I would do any of the other jobs that I see anybody else do.
Okay.
So it's a tough life. It's a really, really tough life for too many reasons. And at that time, you just remember the high and you remember why you're here, and you just wait for the next high to happen, and it does.
Okay. So on that note, thank you so much for doing this. I really learned a lot of things, had a lot of fun. I hope you had fun, ma'am. And
yes, I did.
Thank you so much.
It's always good walking down memory lane.